Today's session, Batik Malaysia, a Living Heritage, will be joined by former director of the National Textile Museum in Kuala Lumpur, Ms. Janet T, who will present on the techniques and cultural significance of batik, a wax-resist dyed textile. T will narrate through objects in the collection of the National Textile Museum, and will also relate the art of batik to the labor of women and power structures in order to comment a little bit on the use of batik by the artist, Yi Ilan. Again, please feel free to leave your questions throughout the webinar in the chat box, and they may be addressed at the end during a Q&A session. And without further ado, I will turn the time over to Ms. Janet T. So Janet, I will share your presentation as well.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Takahashi Mizuki, the Chief Curator and Executive Director, for really giving me this opportunity to be one of your distinguished speakers for the exhibition Till We Hug Again by Ilan, our very own Malaysian famous artist. You know, I'm really very proud of her. But I also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that tuned in and wish them a good day wherever you are. I know at this juncture it's really hard to be really meet up, but it's through this new technology on Zoom that we are able to talk and see each other. So allow me today to share with all of you out there about Batik Malaysia, a living heritage. Yeah. So we will go to my Bruce next. The next slide, Bruce. So this is my talk outline, which I will give you a quick tour of the National Textile Museum in Kuala Lumpur, a glimpse into the history of Batik in Malaysia, Batik Malaysia, a living heritage, Batik woman, and Batik Malaysia moving forward. Next, please. So this is actually where the National Textile Museum is located. It is located among historical buildings within the Merdeka Square or Independent Plaza. So, and it is one of the most attractive heritage buildings in the city. So beside it is the iconic Sultan Abdul Samad building, the former State Secretariat. And we also, on this field, our independence was declared on 31st of August 1957. And within the vicinity is one of the largest, tallest flagpole in the world. It is about the height of 328 feet. Next, please. There's the National Textile Museum. Yeah. So this is the National Textile Museum. As you can see, it's a really very beautiful building. It's a 2.5-story building with an area of 3,259 meters square and a floor area of 3,145 meters square. It was designed by A.C. Norman, a British architect, and it features a beautiful Mughal Islamic style architecture. This building was originally completed in 1905 to house the headquarters of the Malayan Railways, but subsequently it made way for various government and commercial agencies before it was been approved for use as a National Textile Museum in 2007. And then after conservation, restoration, construction, and display work began and it was completed in 2009. And the National Textile Museum was finally opened to the public on 9th of January 2010. The museum is administered by the Department of Museums Malaysia, which is a federal agency under the portfolio of the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia. And this building is a heritage building. And the museum was the brainchild of the late Tun Endon Mahmud, wife of our 5th Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yep. Click. Yeah. She is our beloved Tun Endon. Yep. Next slide, please. Well, the museum has 4 galleries. We call the Pohon Budi. Click, Bruce. This is the ballroom which on the ground floor. And then on the ground floor itself, we also have the pelangi, which click, Bruce, which is also, pelangi means rainbow. And on the upper floor, first floor, we have Tolok Berantai and Ratnasari. This gallery is quite special in the sense that it houses precious jewelry and ornaments. Yeah. And nonetheless, all the museum actually showcase the materials, tools, and traditional techniques of textile making, and exquisite collection of traditional Malaysian textiles and costumes, gold jewelries, and personal ornaments. Thus, this gallery provides a backdrop to showcase the origins of Malaysian textiles from prehistoric time to its growth through cross-cultural trading. Next, please. Apart from its 4 permanent gallery, the 5th gallery, Saindra, offers a space for temporary thematic exhibitions and programs from home and abroad. So this space is actually, we open it to the public, to the community, to showcase their local culture and so forth. As you can see, we have the kabaya and nyonya. We also have the sari from the Indian community. We have even a fashion show within the museum, and we also have dance performance. Besides, we have also talks, and we also showcase one of the famous British designer Zandra Rhodes within our this gallery itself. Yeah. Next, please. The National Museum showcased the history and beauty of Malaysian traditional clothes and clothing, and the relationship to other regions from ancient to modern times. The museum's objective is to preserve as national heritage the unique and invaluable textiles and traditional handiwork of the multi-ethnic society of Malaysia, comprising of Malays, Chinese, Indians, Orang Asli, and the indigenous people of Sabah and Sarawak. So you can see that we are really very multiracial, multi-ethnic, and multi-religious, so we are like Malaysia, truly Asia. So next please. So this a snippet of the collection that is in the National Textile Museum, the Batik collection. So we have like a very rare Batik kotak, which on the left, upper left, which features rubber trees. This is one of the masterpieces in our museum. It goes back to the 1930s, and immediately at the bottom, the red one is also a Batik kotak printing. Yeah, and the one on the upper right is similar, but the one at the extreme right bottom is what you call a pelangi sarong. So a pelangi sarong is like is the first evidence of what we call a batik cloth here in Malaya. Then, yeah. Next, please. So here we also have the batik, block batik that you can see on the red flowers. They're printed by using wooden blocks. And beside that, we also have a very valuable collection of batik swatches, from the 60s to the 80s, about 300 pieces in all. So it's amazing collection. We all these patterns and the evolution of designs and patterns that you can see. So it's we had an exhibition at the Textile Museum, and the whole collection was donated after the exhibition to the Department of Museums, Malaysia. Next please, bro. Oh, and also this is what we call a long cloth, a shawl or long batik cloth. Yeah. And the lower one is a scripted cloth, and the scripted cloth is very important because they are used as protective, and also sometimes they are used as headgears to protect the wearers. Next, please. So we will look into the glimpse of just a short glimpse in the history of batik in Malaysia. The origin of batik in Malaysia is really a mystery. You know, there's a lot of theory saying the coming of batik to Malaysia, but nonetheless, several scholars have expounded that batik making was linked to the flourishing maritime trade route between the Sriwijaya Kingdom and the Java coastal city in the 13th century, resulting in the Javanese batik influencing the Malaysian batik then. Next, please. Well, the origin batik in Malay then was called Pelangi, Kain Pelangi, or Mina Pelangi. Mina is actually a name of a lady, actually, because it seems that she discovered and did this type of pattern textile during the reign of Sultan Zainal Abidin II, the third Sultan of Terengganu, around 1773 to 1805. This pelangi is a beautiful textile using the technique of tie and dye, which is actually copied from the Indian bandana technique that is without wax. From this process, the kain pelangi evolved into the pattern batik textile known as kain pukul. Pukul, they say, is like chop. This is in Kelantan, they call it kain pukul, and kain terak in Terengganu, which use wooden block. Subsequently, the Chinese and Indian traders brought in the batik kotak, batik meaning box. Actually, there's two theories about it, because what I read is that some say that it referred to the box frame they used to stretch the material. But another theory is that this pattern textile were brought in from China, in little boxes, crammed into little boxes and presented to the royalty as gifts. So it's called batik kotak. Next, please. Both the kain pukul and kain terak use the same cloth, mainly cotton, and shared the same technique of production, that of using a wooden block as the printing tool. This wooden block is known as sarang burung, or floral nest, or sarang kayu beruke, engraved wooden nest. So you can see sample of this. On the left upper are 4 pieces of wooden blocks, and the rest are made from copper and brass, metal. The process of batik making using wax and metal blocks of copper or brass were eventually introduced by the Javanese in the late 1920s. This replaced the use of wooden blocks and indirectly resulted in finer design patterns. So as you can see, there's a difference between the wooden and the metal blocks. So when you it is found out that when you do with wooden blocks, the pattern, the color might smudge a little bit on the textile. Whereas when you do with metal, it's more fine and sharp when it registered onto the wax register onto the plain cloth. Yeah. Next, please. The types of batik that continue to be actively produced today are the batik chanting, which use metal stylus, batik chop, use the stem, batik chanting, which is actually they already chop it, but they fill up the color by painting on it. That's batik chanting, and of course the silk screen printing. Yeah. Next, please. Batik Malaysia, a living heritage. In recent years, there has been a revival of interest in batik. Malaysians are beginning to appreciate the beauty and richness of the batik textile created by our very own designers and makers. The world of fashion has also created an immense consciousness among the designers and producers of batik. They are aware of the demand of Malaysians for good design, quality, color combinations, and the craftsmanship that distinguish it as truly handcrafted, made in Malaysia product. You know, there's always this constant talk about Batik Malaysia and Batik Indonesia. So just one distinct, difference we can notice is that, Batik Malaysia is really very vibrant and very colorful. You know, the Malaysian really embrace the warmth of the sun and of the tropic and of our tropical rainforest. That's why it's really bursting with colors. There's the slight difference that I noticed about Batik Malaysia and Batik Indonesia. Yeah. And today, young and old alike are demonstrating their love and acceptance of Malaysian Batik textile as a symbol of our national and cultural identity. Batik Malaysia has evolved from being a humble traditional folk art tradition to a modern and contemporary batik textile and visual art. So you can see batik, you know, it's not only for the old, but it's for everybody in Malaysia. Everybody seems to like batik nowadays. Next, please. So we go into how batik was in the pioneering years. In the early years, batik making has been mainly associated with the Batik Sarong, a typical garment of tubular shaped 2-meter cloth, stitched on one side, worn around the waist by men and women for daily wear and on ceremony. I just want to, if I can just show you how the Batik Sarong is like. So this is actually like a batik, a sarong. This is actually a sarong. So it's like, it's tubular, you see? So you just put your feet in and just wear it, and it's a very versatile piece of material. And they were worn for daily events or on ceremonies. Next, please. The Batik Sarong was also used as head coverings, head coverings, bathing cloths, baby hammock, and wrapping cloths. You know, sometimes, you know, those days when we don't have suitcases, you know, the ladies would just put everything onto the sarong and tie and move from one place to another. So you can see from the cartoon by Dato' Lat, you see, I mean, like batik was really in vogue then, you know, everybody seems to be wearing batik. Next. Well, the batik has distinctive features. It comprises of the head panel, which we call kepala kain, the edge border, the kaki kain, and the flanking border, pengapit kain, and the body of the cloth. So this is the anatomy of batik sarong. The batik sarong can be produced by hand-printed and hand-drawn techniques or by silkscreen printing. The next click on it, please, Bruce. Yeah. This industry began in Kelantan, followed by Terengganu, both states in the northeast of Peninsular Malaysia in the 1920s. As the batik industry grew, it spread to other states, enticing the local people to undertake batik production and setting up batik atelier in urban centers. Batik sarong then was mainly produced for the domestic market and only exported to nearby countries in the 1950s. Next, please. And an introduction to batik yardish. From the traditional batik sarong, the batik makers progressed to make wax stamp batik cloth by the yardish by the 1960s. Designers saw the opportunity to design this batik yardish into fashionable clothing. And with the government support and encouragement in making batik as the Thursday official attire for civil servants, and as formal wear for official function, batik yardage was in demand. Men wore long-sleeve batik shirts to work and on formal occasions, and Hawaiian-style short-sleeve shirts for leisure. Women wore batik as dresses, skirts, blouse, and also tailored yardage into traditional costumes such as the baju kebaya, baju kurung, and chongsam. Thus, batik made in Malaysia became identified as a symbol of national pride. Yeah, you can see some of the sample. Okay, now it's okay. Now we have new trends in batik. From the batik yardage, we go into the 1970s and 80s saw a shift in the trend of batik making with the technical advance in the use of the chanting. Experimentation with different types of fabric and methods of coloring resulted in a distinctive hand-drawn style of Batik Malaysia. With this, batik makers and designers collaborated in producing bespoke designs and motifs to commemorate the local sports, youth, and corporate events or occasion. Specially designed batiks were also made for international conferences held in Malaysia to promote batik as a living cultural heritage. I remember when Malaysia hosted the Commonwealth Games in 1989, I think the ministers were all wearing Malaysian batik as an official attire. So these are some of the batik that you can see, hand-drawn on silk, on cotton, but especially made for special events. Thank you. Next. Apart from its use in clothing, batik was fashioned into soft furnishing and household items such as bed covers, cushion covers, wall panels, table linen, and kitchen accessories. Batik fabric of exclusive designs were commissioned for furnishing private homes, hotels, and holiday resorts. And this added another incentive for the creativity and ingenuity of batik designers and makers. That piece on the left bottom is this piece actually. This is actually a safra, which is actually like a tablecloth cover, you know. And normally those days, you know, the ladies will put it on the floor and they will have their meal there. So this piece is actually from Kelantan. Next, please. The establishment of the Malaysian Handicraft Development Corporation, which is a quasi-government agency in 1979, to offer technical and design input for batik makers, further strengthen the support of the government in the revitalization and product development of the batik industry. A Vichitra Award to promote excellence in design and craftsmanship for traditional arts and crafts provided a platform for batik designers and makers to collaborate in showcasing authentic and original batik works in form and function, evoking the application of technical innovation. Batik Malaysia Berhad, a subsidiary of MARA, which is known as Majlis Amanah Rakyat or the People's Trust Council, was established to promote the batik industry for initiating design and quality control for new trendy batik products and for undertaking distribution and marketing for the batik makers. Batik Malaysia traded under its own brand, BNB. I remember that when I was younger, I used to visit their flagship shop down in Kuala Lumpur and was really thrilled and loved the batik yardage that they sell. And I think I bought quite a fair bit. Then I was still a student. Next, please. Batik as wearable art, you know. Over the decades, the craft and artistic perception of Malaysian batik have undergone a transformation. Local batik designers, producers, and artists took batik into new dimensions and media. In the 1970s and 80s, Tunku Zubaida, also known as the Batik Princess then, was experimenting with the chanting and new brushstrokes, new fabrics and dyes. She and her team had created several original batik collections, which received tremendous accolades. Zubaida puts Batik Malaysia firmly on the international haute couture map, thus giving a new dimension to the local batik industry. Next, please. Next. So another personality doing this was Ramli Malik, an art lecturer and batik artist, who teamed up with Paco Rabanne, the Spanish-born designer in Paris, Bonn, Brussels, and Copenhagen, showcasing Malaysian batik to the world. Malaysian Airlines System Batik Ensemble by Rohani Hussein also was given much attention because she, for the inaugural flight of Malaysian Airlines, she came out with this batik print. The next is Aran Nova Batika's 5 years collaboration with Pinto Moreno, who is a Filipino fashion designer, also saw batik soaring into the far corners of the earth. So Batik Malaysia has gone international then, even in the early 80s, 70s and 80s. Next, please. Next, please. Bruce. Yeah. Known for his signature heliconian ginger plants, wild bananas, and yam leaf, plants and foliage of the Malaysian jungle, batik textile artist, the late Yusuf Fadil Idris created the Rainbow series in the late 1990s. He was Batik Tulis, one-of-a-kind textile panel of 4 meter, 2 meter, 1 meter, or commission sizes. Most customers love his work and would frame the panel as an art piece in their homes or corporate buildings. Yusuf Rainforest series rekindled batik as a high-end, value-added product. You know, he created actually mainly the 4 meters were mainly for our traditional costume, that is the kebaya or the baju kurung. But because it was really so nice, you just don't have the heart to cut it out. So it turned out that you want to frame it and just admire it on the wall as an art piece. So it's just how it came. Next, please. So other than that, there's other people who also contributed to this. They are the Craftsman Enterprise, Kandani Batik, Azalea, Samasa, Noorfa, Eddie Yap, Eric To, Tom Ambang Salfi, Edric Ong, Samsudin, Abu Bakar. Actually, the list is endless, but these are just some of it that it has also played a part in keeping the batik industry alive and challenging. Yeah. Their contribution towards the creation of new trends in hand-drawn batik demonstrated the passion and commitment they felt in transforming batik from a popular fabric suitable for all occasions to batik as wearable art. The collaboration of batik makers with fashion designers undoubtedly elevated batik as a high fashion wearable textile art. Next, please. Traditional hand-printed and hand-drawn batik were made to commemorate Apollo's journey to the moon. You can see the one on the middle with the space shuttle. The story of the rubber, which is at the bottom, the rubber tree. Rubber is very is one of the, you can see rubber trees all over Malaysia. I was, if I remember, there's people who haven't seen rubber trees and they're just amazed at it, rows and rows of rubber trees that we have here. And we used, Malaysia used to be the world's, once used to be the world's largest exporter of natural rubber. Yeah, we are quite proud of that actually. So Batik were also designed on theme such as the celebration of victory, which we have the Batik Perang War Batik. So they have a figurine, they have the warship, aeroplane, so the success of the war. And also offering for peace and prosperity, which is the Batik altar cloth onto the extreme right bottom, or the Peranakan will call it Batik Tokwi. And Batik with calligraphy inscription has also been an integral part of Southeast Asian Islamic textile tradition. So on the top right-hand corner is the Batik with Islamic script. And these Islamic script cloths have been used as headgears and also prayer mats. Yeah. Next, please. Batik as visual arts. Well, in its simplest form, Batik is the wax rigid dye technique used to fasten different colors on a white cloth, and it has to undergo the delicate and repeated process of waxing, dyeing, boiling, rinsing, drying again, thereafter resulting in a beautiful piece of textile. Batik is one of the oldest textile art, which began as a craft for decorating fabrics for clothing, has been transformed and taken into a new dimension, Batik art or Batik painting. Batik painting was pioneered by Chua Ten Ting, an immigrant from China. He owned a Batik cloth factory in Penang then in the 1950s. When his business failed, he was reluctant to part with his imported color dyes, rolls of white cloth, wax, and brushes. So he began to explore the use of the chanting and wax to make painting. He was inspired by the Buttock Sarong worn by the Malay woman in Penang and the classical universal theme of mother and child. Thus, he moved from the floral pattern of commercial batik to figurative design, thereby inventing a new technique in painting, batik art. So he has taken the traditional batik medium into an accepted form of painting, that is turning batik from a craft into an art form. Next, please. So other artists followed, such as Khalid Ibrahim, Tay Mo Leong, Ismail Mat Zain, Syed Shaharuddin, Grace, and Fatima Chik, just to name a few. There's a long list of batik artists and very famous too. Batik painting is a testimony of how Malaysian form from varied cultural and religious background and ethnicity could adapt and absorb each other's culture and beliefs, while at the same time retain the identity and ethnicity. Contemporary Malaysian batik artists are constantly searching new ways of producing the artwork and yet remain true to the tradition. Next, please. Batik and women. Yilan is one of the outstanding visual artists who has taken batik into a new dimension. Yilan's work combined the traditional Malaysian batik process with digital manipulated photographs in inkjet textile printing. She found this particular technique and incorporated it into her artwork, thereby making her artworks refreshing and more exciting. I really like her Orang Besar series, really. Yilan adopted the design of the traditional Batik Sarong with its kepala and badan in projecting her image to the audience. It is remarkable, awesome, and the technique she employs to create the the feeling of disturbing emotion is evocative. As a woman, she challenges the style of the traditional batik technique to make a social statement. These batik paintings are amazing pieces of artwork of social significance. Its social statement depending on the onlooker viewing her artwork. She brought forth themes and subjects, especially of the woman in Malaysia, into the foray. Many people admire her work and has encouraged them to venture into the batik artwork. Next, please. In the early days were basically a home-based cottage industry which employed immediate and extended family members, mainly women. Batik production was usually a small family enterprise, with the man doing the wax stamping on the cloth. This is considered hard and laborious work, while the woman applying color on the motifs. This is considered light, meticulous, patient. So that's for the batik chanting. Why is this so? This is due to the fact that most of these women were housewives who had to tend to their daily work at home in the morning, and only then will attend to the coloring of the batik when they have finished the house chores. By the 1950s and 60s, there was a clear division of labors. In the 1950s and 60s, there was a clear division of labor in the batik industry. Women were mainly engaged as employees, workers for the production of batik. By the 70s, young women were graduating from art and design institutions from home and abroad. Following this, there was a surge of women in batik production, design, and businesses. They ventured into the batik business industry by opening their own batik studios in the urban areas. These women began to establish their own name and brand their works. Next. Among them are Fatima Chick. Please, you have to click. Yeah. She's an impressive artist, spending over her career spanning over a quarter of a century, and she has a reputation as being one of Malaysia's most significant middle-aged artists. Abang Taufi, which you have to click. Yeah. Has been in the fashion scene for over 3 decades and is well known for using batik and Sarawakian motifs. She's a talented designer who combines batik with her new fashion trend. Yeah. Pink Jambu. Next, please. It's a batik design house by Tunku Marina Ibrahim. Pink Jambu was established in KL in 1992 and specialized in the craft of batik. In 2010, a joint effort between Pink Jambu and Yayasan Tunku Nur Zahira created the Songket, a project that combines batik with Songket. It is an intricate marriage of the technique of the dye-resist batik and weaving of Songket, 2 different traditional textile art forms of Malaysia. The Songket is a double-sided shawl. Zian Batik. Bruce, yeah. Kamalia Ismail Zain is the designer behind Zian Batik. Zian specializes in batik art and is a small family business. Kamalia is also an established batik artisan and recipient of the 2015 Piala Sri Indon. And she's also one of the members of the 5-year research project for exploring natural dye. Fern Batik. This brand was founded by Fern Chua in 2015, celebrating and rediscovering the aesthetic elegance of the traditional art form batik. Fern reinvented the Asian art form by fusing traditional techniques with contemporary designs. Next page, please. Batik Boutique. is an award-winning social enterprise launched by Amy and Anna to empower artisans from marginalized communities, especially women, to produce fair fashion, home goods, and accessories made from batik. They work with the rural and urban batik crafts people to create batik materials from natural fiber. Tms Art Gallery is owned by Amelia Tan. Her artwork mixes batik technique and the Aboriginal art style, displaying a contemporary and multicultural perspective. She's a batik instructor and artist, and is also the owner of My Batik magazine. Cotton and Sago is founded by Mariam Samira Samsudin. It's an impact fashion and lifestyle brand, empowering batik artisans through design and fair trade. The company was established in 2016 to enhance the opportunity and livelihood of hand-block batik makers with the intention of preserving the art of hand-block batik making. Adila Long, KL. Adila is a fashion designer who is also an interior architect. Is inspired by batik on her design. She uses urban batik design on her clutch bags and clothing. Adila also combined her clothing line with a bit of family history from Terengganu, which is famous for batik. Yeah. And we have Indah Atelier by Matumati Pillai in 2017, promotes batik by Malaysian artists as a heritage product around the world. In 2020, the company launched Malaysia in 100 meters of batik pointillism, a global campaign involving various local and foreign artists and fashion designers to join hands with the company to globalize batik. These are some of the women in batik. Next, please. Batik moving forward. Preserving our rich textile craft and fine art heritage is no easy task. Our queen, the Pemasri Agong Tuanku Aziza Amina Maimuna Iskandaria, is a royal patron of the traditional arts and crafts of Malaysia. Her passion and tireless effort in championing Malaysian traditional handmade crafts and art has inspired many women. Her Majesty has also created her own collection of batik under the brand Cik Mina Sayang. Next. The late Tun Mahmud was also instrumental in reviving the batik industry in Malaysia in the new millennium. She was credited with the revival of a wave of interest in the wider use of batik. Tun Indun was an ardent patron of the arts and culture, especially traditional textile arts such as the batik and the Nyonya Kebaya. In 2003, Tun Indun launched the Batik Malaysia Crafted for the World to promote and ensure the long-term relevance, growth, and progress of the artistic cloth. Next. And under Penyanyang, which is established by the late Tun Indun as well, and its subsidiary Batik Guild Sdn Bhd, they are responsible for championing Malaysian batik in the long term. Various programs, activities, promotion and marketing, and incentives are crafted to reinforce batik as an inherent part of Malaysian identity and heritage, both locally and internationally. There's also this the Piala Sri Indon, Malaysia's most prestigious batik fashion award, was conceived to discover and provide a platform to support, recognize, and encourage Malaysian batik making tradition. It has since become an annual event that placed Malaysian batik designers in the international limelight. Next, please. Batik Malaysia. Yeah, my uncle. One of the most illustrious cultural advocates in upholding and sustaining the Batik textile tradition is Raja Fauzia Rajatun Uda. She has been involved in the development and promotion of Batik Malaysia under various professional portfolios for the last 40 years, and is still at it. She was the first Director General of the Malaysian Handicraft Development Corporation, founder member of the ASEAN Handicraft Promotion and Development Association, and the UNESCO APADA Seal of Excellence for Southeast Asia, and the Malaysian Award for the Arts. In 2009, she received Malaysia's national awards for her efforts in promoting the arts. She's the author of 2 books, Batik Malaysia, Design and Innovation, 1960 to 1990s. This is the book. And Batik Sarong, Heritage for Today, for Tomorrow in 2017. And beside this, she also has curated several batik related exhibitions in Malaysia and overseas. Next, please. Batik and COVID-19. So we can't run away from COVID-19, you know. So COVID-19 has sounded an alarm. The pandemic has had a radical change in human activities in a generation. The lockdown and movement control order has given people personal space for contemplation, to rethink and to refocus. It is a time to think out of the box, a time to harness talents and to restart new ideas, new techniques, and new products, sorry. By adapting to new challenges, new digital tools and processes to design, batik designers, artists, and makers are challenged to produce batik and create artworks that adapt to the new way of living, to make a positive impact on our environment. For this will impact the old norms that we are accustomed to and adapt to the new way of life. The pandemic is challenging businesses, designers, creators, even countries to be able to adapt. Amid the COVID-19 and the government's mandatory issue of wearing masks in public places, protective face masks are emerging as fashion design accessories for Malaysian. Many designers are using remnants batik material or using stock of cloth and decorating it with wax and dye for making face masks as a hot fashion necessity. Click, please. Yeah. So if you go out to the streets today, you will see a lot of people wearing masks, cloth masks, and it's really very fashionable to be donning a batik mask. Click, please. And of course, Mariam Samsudin or Cotton Sago has actually come up with this design of the batik with COVID, with social distancing and so forth. And she wears it as a sarong, but she hopes that it will be a social statement of COVID and the standard SOP that goes with it, you know, like the social distance. And she also hopes that this will be a banner telling the people of COVID. Yeah. Next, please. COVID-19 has put a pause into our hectic lifestyle, actually, for most of us, but has equally given us a chance to refocus priority, a time for reflection that will shape art and design for years to come. COVID-19 offers a blank canvas for a new beginning as opportunity for change merge. Click, please. Yeah. An opportunity to start thinking and reflecting on new design concepts and production strategy for Batik Malaysia. we start from learning from the masters. We start initially, learning from the masters. Went on to create our own special brand of batik. And now with this pandemic, awaits the second dawn of Batik Malaysia. Click, please. Click. So basically, this is what I hope, that with the COVID and the time to rethink, the young people, especially men and women of artisans of batik, will be able to wake up. Be able to face these challenges and cause a second dawn of Batik Malaysia. Thank you. With that, I say thank you. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Janet, for that presentation. I loved all the visuals and the colors. As you said, an emblem of Batik Malaysia are those colors. Thank you for that. Also really loved the connections you helped us bridge to the works that we have on view right now at chat, Ilan's work. We've got some questions in the Q&A, but I've got one that's maybe a little bit personal. I'd like to actually hear, Janet, maybe you tell us how you got involved with Batik to start, and what that was like. Was it a personal connection you had, or did family, as you said, from the 70s onwards, a lot of women, for example, worked in the batik industry. Did that have something to do with you?
I can't say I'm really involved in the batik industry, but as a young woman, I used to love textiles and fashion, So I was really taken by batik, the splendor of color, and how vibrant is it when it's fashioned into clothing. I have always admired the people that do batik. And when I went to work with the museum, it really enforced this love in tradition and the textiles within me. So with the museum, the museum has given me an opportunity to be able to really go to the makers, to be able to be with them and see them and talk to them on how they are doing it and what are the challenges that they have. And I think with the museum also, we are also able to help them indirectly to showcase their products by having exhibitions in the museums, also by having activities like we were having activity of teaching the people how to tie a sarong. Not many people know how to tie a sarong, and which part is come front or at the back. And then of course, like talk about what are the batik and fashion, because batik, most people would think that it's just a sarong, those days we don't, it's just a sarong, but it is more than that. The sarong speaks volume, so it's so versatile in the sense that the sarong can be used for so many things, like I said, so it's a very significant piece of cloth material, and the work that goes behind it, and especially by women, so the patience that is it. So this is how my love for batik grew, and I have been collecting quite a bit of batik myself. Oh my God, I say, in a sense, but not mostly like I bought from current artisans and so forth. So like some of the sample of it here. Yeah.
I especially love on the topic of sarong, that slide you showed of the anatomy of a sarong. And then also the next slide where you had how kind of like graphic cartoons
Yeah, by one of our famous cartoonist lot.
I see. Those are very lovely. Actually, speaking of the National Textile Museum and the work that when you were a director there that you did, I want to hear a little bit more about how batik arrives at the museum, how it's being collected, as you mentioned that it represents the multi-ethnicity of Malaysia. I'm curious to hear about how those are acquired, or if there's a team that is out to collect these through, Malaysia is so big, through the different regions of Malaysia, what that's like.
Yeah. Well, as I said, the National Textile Museum only was opened in 2010, which is fairly new. It's like about 10 years old. And it's very right for you to ask me what happened to the collection. Like, where did you get the collection? Because you're just 10 years old. In a sense. But as I said, the museum is administered by the Department of Museums Malaysia. And the Department of Museums has been collecting. It was established in the museum under our Museum Negara was established way back in 1963. And in the 1970s, the museum has been collecting, the department has been collecting Batik Sarong, our Batik costumes and fabrics as well. So, and some of these Batik were showcased in museums, not as textile, but as part of the narrative of the museum. So we do have Batik textile being shown as a trading item or as a social item. So the museum has a policy of purchase. Yeah, we purchase them, and also bequeath or donation from the public. So we actually, what I showed you is just a snippet of the collection. We have a bigger collection, and it's stored in our repository under museum condition and so forth. Yeah.
Thank you for that. One of our audiences asks a more technical, or I guess actually more a question on the aesthetics of batik. One asked if are there any specific batik motifs that are traditional only to Malaysia, or does the greater region share these motifs together? I know you mentioned Batik Malaysia tends to be more colorful, but are there any specific motifs that you could share?
Well, I think basically there's no distinct line between Batik Malaysia, Batik Indonesia, and so forth. But basically, I think in Malaysia, our design are mainly based on the flora and fauna, and also the geometric, because being an Islamic country, it forbids the use of icons or human figure. So, like you see in the design, batiks, they're more floral. They get the inspiration from the environment, from the rainforest and whatever they see around, but not so much on figure. And I think Fern has done a very good job as well. It's very stylized and so forth. So these are really very, appealing to the new audience, of batik and batik collectors and the young people, because I guess the young people are not very keen on wearing very loud colors and too heavy design. So I wouldn't say there's any particular design, but I know that one of my colleague, in a sense that he is also he works on, his brand is Ruskahara, and he has been reinventing one of the old pattern that he found. So, and he's actually doing a great job, and he has also showcased his collection in Paris Fashion Week and so forth. Yeah. So our batik is going international. Let me show you his design. This is the design. It's a block stamp. So So this is a very old motif, but he's reinventing it. Yeah. So this is a cheongsam, but it's a batik yadish.
Mm.
Yeah.
So is it correct for me to say that that one was likely using a metal stamp?
Yeah, but the older one was a wooden stamp. I think he's doing it because it's quite precise. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually have a question about this because we understand batik as a wax resist dyed textile. That's what it's popularly known. But actually, in the very early part of your presentation, you mentioned that at one point, that it was actually a tie-dye. There was a beautiful pattern that was tie-dye. Is that correct to say? If so, I'm just curious to trace the history of batik a little bit more.
Yeah, it is for us in Malaysia, because when we got those type of material, then that's what they said, pelangi, tie-dye. So from that, the evolution started. They experiment with wax and so forth. So, but initially, that's how we started with pattern cloths.
Okay.
Without dye. So when the Javanese introduced it in the 1920s, so that's how wax came into being to be done. Yeah. And I think Malaysian has taken it to the next level of our own batik. Yeah. And this is like our batik, if I may show you.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
So this is from one of the famous azalea. So this is really like hand-drawn.
Wow.
Hand-drawn batik. Yeah.
And
it's really amazing that mainly the woman. And this is a wax, a batik that has not been colored, stamp with a wax.
Oh wow!
It's just before it's been like boiled and removed of the wax. Yeah.
That's very beautiful, even without the color.
Yeah, that's why I kept it.
Yeah. I mean, that's not something people can regularly get, right? That's like an insider, like you can. I see. That's very beautiful. I want to address maybe the latter part of your presentation, which is very lovely. I really enjoyed the parts where you shared with us all the individuals and the collectives who are doing great work to promote batik, and then how batik is being also reinterpreted or interpreted in the COVID times. We have this one interesting question about how Janet, I will read this out word for word, this question. Someone asked, I am curious how Janet sees the future of batik design and art in the age of mass production and fast fashion. For example, can batik be separated from natural cultural identity of Malaysia to become a more universal kind of design?
Well, I think Indonesia has batik recognized as a heritage. You know that in 2009, UNESCO has recognized it as distinctively Indonesian. Yeah, but I think with this mass production, sometimes of course we get a lot of mass production from Thailand, from Indonesia as well, from our neighbor. But I think as Malaysian, I would appeal to all Malaysian that we must and should support Batik Malaysia, because it is a handcrafted technique and handcrafted skill that goes into it. And we have our own identity, yeah, our own colors, yeah, and we should be proud of Batik Malaysia. Like you see, what I'm wearing is is a batik with the pucuk rubung, So I don't think that the mass printing can be called batik, but they are like in a sense that they are not dye, they are not wax, they're just churned out by the machine. So I think it's time that we as Malaysian have to really appreciate what all these batik artists are going through, Yeah. So I'm sort of saying, yeah, please try to differentiate Batik Malaysia from the mass-produced printed cloth, which is not batik. Yeah.
I see. I mean, how in the time at the museum have you felt the shift in the general public's interest or Malaysian citizens, people in KL? Do you feel like that it has greater interest? How has it been the kind of decade you were at the museum? What was that like?
Yeah, I actually like my time and the work that we are doing when I was in the museum, because I could see that even among my colleagues, they have began wearing Batik Malaysia. You know, they have like they go to buy the sarong and tailor it into a shirt or a blouse or a skirt. And also we see a lot of support from young people coming in wearing batik. And there's a revival. There's a revival with the young people going into this manufacturing and design of batik. Yeah. And the museum has also indirectly played a role in recreating the awareness of Batik Malaysia by our programs, by our exhibitions, you know, by our outreach, because we also offered at the museum then and now. They also have offered like batik, small painting on small canvases and so forth. So this is actually to inculcate in the younger generation, especially school kids that comes in contact with the museum. Yeah. Yeah, Bruce.
Thank you, Janet.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, of course. Is there anything you want to share with us behind you? I know that there's you prepared a few more items.
Oh yeah, I wanted to share with you is this one, which is a very old tokwi. Yeah.
Wow. How many colors are there?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is like yep.
Mm.
And it's for the altar table, like for the pranakan, the altar table.
Can I ask, Janet, for this, we were talking about the sarong. There's an anatomy to it. Is there an anatomy to what I just saw?
No.
Okay.
It's only the sarong that has the anatomy, the head, the body, and the tepi kain and all this also. But for other like even for the hand batik for the baju, it will be just you know, like free flow. Even like you see like the Heliconian series, they are just free flow. You know, if I may, it's just like this is also a hand tulis something. So it's just free flow. There's no. This is actually a sarong also. It's, you know, it don't have the anatomy of the basic sarong. See? It's nothing. So only for the sarong that you have the anatomy. Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And of course, like when I was in a museum, you know, we were at the makers. I just said, oh, try to make me a sarong, but I just want the kepala, you know, the head only. So I had it all left blank, the rest of it. That's it. So these are so like specially commissioned batik. Yeah, but it still have the same anatomy. The kepala and this is the badan. Yeah, and also the tepi kain, you know. So it still maintain the same, but it just I want it to be plain on this side, no pattern.
Wow. Sorry, Janet, can you remind me one more time what that, I know you said that there are a lot of geometric motifs because there are no icons.
Yeah.
But with that, this shape, the shape that's kind of like a
this one.
What
this
is that?
A bamboo shoot.
Oh, that's a bamboo shoot.
Yeah, bamboo shoot pattern. Yeah, bamboo shoot pattern. So it is also very symbolic because it's the bamboo shoot is always growing, you know, even when you cut down, it's always growing. So it's a very sustainable. Yeah. So it's a very popular motif in Malaysian textile, not only in batik, but also in songket and others. Yeah.
Janet, we've received one more question in the chat box. This one asks your personal preference, but I want to also rephrase it to see maybe you could give us an overview or how to distinguish between batik stamped and batik drawn.
Yeah,
you go ahead.
Go ahead. It's quite simple in the sense that, you know, a batik stamp is very precise in a sense, you know, it's very precise. You just block stamp. Whereas batik tulis is more free flowing. It just like, if free flowing is your inspiration, yeah. It's just like, you know, this is a motif from the Orang Asli, the Aborigines.
Wow.
So it doesn't have to be really like rigid. So it depends on the artist. So you can actually quite easily distinguish. What I'm wearing is actually a batik stamp. Stamp batik. So this is also having the pucuk robong, the bamboo. Bamboo design, yeah, bamboo shoot, yeah.
That's very lovely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much, Janet.
Yeah, and I want to share with you some of the books that
sure, please.
That of course we have our National Textile Museum book. I think you still can get it from the National Textile. Apart from Rajesh Fauzia's book. Yeah, the two books that she has. These are really very good references. Yeah. And also, like, you know, you have motif.
Oh wow.
Motifs, you know, on the sarong. And of course, oh yeah, and then I wanted to say that natural dye is trending, you know. Yeah, it's trending, and this is the project that Fern and Kamalia is working on with the Japan Foundation KL. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. So it's actually going back to nature. You know, not like I say, COVID has given us this time to stop and pause and think about the environment.
Right. Yeah. I love that it circles back to something natural, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Janet, and for the beautifully prepared and very appropriately vibrant presentation and all the references you just showed us, and for preparing all the lovely textiles behind you. It's always so nice I know we can't touch it, but it's always very nice to know that these are very physical objects that we have. Thanks, Janet.